I want to thank press for being here. I want to thank the members of Congress, but especially I want to thank the Gold Star families whose children gave the ultimate sacrifice at Abbey Gate. Our report came out today. It's over 300 pages. It's a historic document. It's not a political document. It was a document designed to get to the truth. As a former federal prosecutor, integrity and credibility was my paramount objective. Follow the facts and the law wherever they take you. Start with the witnesses and build yourself up to the higher levels. And what we found was significant. This was a catastrophic failure of epic proportions. Some say Saigon was the worst. I say this was, for many reasons. The fatal flaw, as we had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, CENTCOM Commander, General McKenzie, and General Miller on the ground, what was the problem in Kabul, in Afghanistan, at Bagram? Sir, there was no plan. State Department by law has the authority authorized by Congress to come up with a plan of evacuation known as the NEO. State Department wholly failed in that responsibility. Don't take my word for it. The fact is, the plan wasn't even initiated until the Taliban had overrun Kabul and were on their way to the embassy when Ambassador Wilson, charged with coming up with a plan and initiating it, fled to the airport, HKIA, leaving his employees behind, leaving the Afghan people who put their lives on the line behind. Thousands of classified documents, just like at Bagram. $7 billion of equipment in Bagram. He leaves his troops behind. What a coward. What happens after that? The Taliban is put in charge of the first checkpoint to check American citizens, Afghan partners and allies, and the women and children left behind. The Taliban is given the authority to say, no, you cannot go behind me. We have the testimonies of the beatings. If they got past there, then they had our consulates. Very few, by the way. Then what happens on that tragic day? Predictably, when you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. This was a failure for everyone, but especially these families standing behind me. We knew the day, the time. We knew the gate, Abbey Gate. Yet these Marines were sent in, unprotected, left out to dry by their government, asked to stand by their sworn enemy, the Taliban, to defend this airport. And what happens? Suicide bomber, guess where he comes from? Bagram prisons. Thousands of ISIS-K released. By the way, some have entered the United States. Bomb goes off. 13 servicemen and women killed. 170 Afghans killed. 45 Americans and Afghan civilians wounded. And the sad thing is, it could have been prevented if we just had a plan. It could have been stopped. Nothing will take back their children's lives. Yes, they will be receiving a gold medal, congressional gold medal tomorrow, well deserved, on behalf of their children and loved ones, posthumously. But nothing can bring them back. It was one of the deadliest attacks in 20 years because there wasn't a plan. Lastly, what is the fallout? Saigon? No, this is worse. What happens after Afghanistan falls? Weakness is projected around the globe. Our enemies and adversaries see weakness, not strength. The Russian Federation, within months, moves into Ukraine because they see this is their moment. Then the unholy alliance with Chairman Xi, China, threatening Taiwan and the Pacific together. Then, in the Middle East, the Ayatollah raises his ugly head with his proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi rebels, all as a result of Afghanistan. It all goes back to Afghanistan. Finally, where a failed foreign policy meets a broken border policy at our borders, 8 ISIS enter the country, now under detention by the FBI. I was a federal prosecutor, counterterrorism. There's also a ISIS ring of 400 people being smuggled into the United States. So it comes full circle back to the United States. I want to end with this. This is not political. It took me 2 years. The first year was wasted by the Democrats. They didn't do one thing. I started this. I had to submit subpoena after subpoena, motions of contempt to bring the channel descent cable channel of the employees at the embassy a cry for help so we could get their testimonies. Secretary Blinken, to this day, refuses to take one day out of this month to come before the American people and these families. But he doesn't have time. Just like Joe Biden didn't have time on his watch at Dover. I don't have time for this. This is a disgrace. And I will hold him in contempt if that's what it takes to bring him before the American people, because they deserve the answers. All roads in this investigation lead to the National Security Council. Very clear from all the testimony that Mr. Sullivan, Jake Sullivan, who's the chairman of the National Security Council, was in charge of these decisions being made. That takes our investigation right into the NSC and right into the White House itself. I intend to continue this investigation after the election, not in a partisan way, but because the American people deserve the truth so that this never, ever happens again.